So just going to start with warm up, or just moving, getting better connected with the sort of hip, lower back area. So just going to start with a few spinal movements. Angry cat, happy cat, arching the back up towards the ceiling, dropping the head, tucking the tail, let the belly sink. Lift the chin, untuck the tail, and then just slowly working from one end to the other. I'm really just trying to check in here, see how spine feels, how the torso feels, really the ribs, soft tissue. Just as I'm moving around, does it feel like a smooth, easy movement? And do I feel well connected with all the tissue here? Or am I sort of rocking around? I feel like there's a little bit of side to side shifting as I move through here. So just trying to see if I can better connect with that. Start to make it feel a little bit more fluid. And then gives a little bit of a focus on the lower back hip area. It's going to be a quad stretch session. I'm just going to focus more on my lumbar spine. So here I've cupped the back of the head into the hands. The top of the head is down on the floor and rolling the body forward. So I'm really trying to round through my upper back. And if I hold this position here, now my upper back just can't move. It's locked out in that rolled forward shape. So now when I untuck the tail, let the belly sink, tuck the tail, round the belly up towards the ceiling. I'm just getting lower torso spinal movement. So again, just checking in, seeing how this feels. And then we're going to come up from there, just do a few hip circles. So from all fours, bringing one knee up under the chest. From here I want to keep the spine stationary. Take the knee out to the side, but I'm not rolling the pelvis up. I'm trying to keep my pelvis level, keep my spine out of this. Just take the knee as high as I can. From here, roll that foot forwards. Again, not side bending at the spine, but just getting the hip to move. Take it back and up towards the ceiling, but here it's just what the hip does, so I'm not letting the belly sink to the floor, and then bring it back under the chest. So two more of them. Out to the side, roll the foot forwards, knee goes back and up, and then together, front and side, roll the foot forwards, back and up. Together, again, do three in the opposite direction, so I take it back and up, don't let the belly sink, around to the side, up nice and high, all the way around in front. Together, back, side, front. And then one more of these. To the other side, forwards, out to the side, roll the foot. It goes back and up. And together, two more of these, really just checking in on how movement feels through here. Does it feel like there's tightness anywhere as I do the movement? Do I feel pain or discomfort? I'm going to do three back in the opposite direction. Do I feel overworked, like I'm really ready to cramp? It can be a little bit cramp inducing coming through here because we're trying to push it to our end ranges. So just before we get into a quad stretch, just want to talk a little bit about tucking and untucking the tail, because I think there's more than one way to actually do this. So one way of thinking about it is, I guess, lower back driven. This is not really what I want to focus on, but we'll cover it quickly. Just so you've got a feeling, a different understanding of the differences between the two setups. So if you just take your spine, that sort of lower back, right where you're starting to arch in, right in the middle there, just try and reach that back as far as you can. So trying to do a forward bend with the spine. You'll feel the pelvis will move around. Imagine your pelvis is like a bowl, and often kind of stand forward as though we're pouring water out the front of the bowl. So as I take my spine backwards, I can feel the bowl of the pelvis flattening out into this position. But what I notice with this one, creating the shape this way, this tail tuck shape, I can feel my abs working to engage that, but I feel pretty soft and, a bit too unactivated through all this soft tissue on the sides. So if I come back out and now think about using my core to make this shape rather than just changing the position of my spine, what I think about is filling my back pocket. So with my hands on that soft tissue of the waist, fingers are on the front, thumbs are on the back, and I really want to be pushing from the inside out into the thumbs to begin with. We're going to get around to the fingers in a second, but I like to start pushing out into the thumbs. So I'm trying to create tension. It's literally like I'm resisting being poked in the back in this area. Once that's on, keeping it switched on, and then I visualize that tension from here spreading down into the back of the pelvis. So I start to drive down from this position back, and you'll notice you'll be starting to tense up out through the front pockets just as you engage this, but it's less abs now. You've gone a little bit deeper than the abs, so that pushes on. As I drive down into the back, I can feel that just gently leveling out the pelvis again. I'm stopping that pouring water out the front, but I haven't made it, or I haven't at least driven it from the spine, and I haven't made as big a change in my spinal position here. So I think the differences are big, but it might be pretty subtle to really work them out. You need to play around with how to create the tail tuck shape, because this one I'm really engaging good core activation, and I feel nice and stable through this part of my body. So then, keeping that switched on, what we're going to do is just use a wall for balance, taking one hand and bring the foot into the hand, and I'm not really pulling in too much towards the backside just yet. What I want to do for the setup is bring the knees together. Now here I'm really going to focus on that tail tuck sensation, but driving it from my core, filling the back pockets down into the back of the pelvis. I'm really trying to level that pelvis out, or even go further for that. It's almost like you want to try pouring water out the back of the pelvis from here, because what that does is really lengthens through the quads, and then you should feel that put the stretch on just by playing with the pelvis position, and then I hold that, I brace that. Now I can start to pull the heel in towards the backside. I'm just going to spend a good 30 seconds or so here. I'm still relaxed in my breathing. I've got core engagement, but it's not so tight that I'm shutting off my diaphragms and restricting breath. Here I'm just nicely engaged. So our active work, 50% effort, press the foot back into the hand. It's like you're trying to straighten out at the knee. Now I'm engaging the muscle that's been lengthened. And ramp up intensity as time goes on. Spend about 15 seconds here, so slowly building up the intensity. And then, for the last 5 seconds, it's just the maximum intensity that's right for you today in this joint. Keep that going. And now we'll do the opposite, engage the hamstring. So switching the hamstring on, be really careful that you haven't lost that core engagement and you're not just pushing the belly forwards, but switch the hamstring on and actively trying to move the foot closer to the backside. And I'm working as strong as I can without getting to the cramp. Sometimes you don't have the ability to sort of play in that zone, but if you can, just try and work as strong as you can without getting to the cramp, but really playing with that sensation. Do that for about 15 seconds. And I relax, see if I can pull the foot in a little bit more, really try and getting that tail tuck as strong as I can here. Have a few breaths. And then come on out. This knee's always a little bit funny after that one. So this is the leg I wear a big plastic and metal rigid brace on this. My leg from an injury 30 years ago, slowly over time it goes down. It's getting more and more out to the side. You can see it a little bit now with the brace. The brace just helps pull that bottom leg in underneath, which makes it great. Like I was really struggling a few years ago before I got onto this brace. It's been, a life changer, really fantastic. But it always, my knee feels a bit funny coming out of that stretch. And we're going to do a lot of that stretch right now. Let's do the other side. So take a hold of the foot, knees are together, leveling out the pelvis. So it's the tail tuck by engaging the core. Feel the back pockets down into the back of the pelvis. You feel that tension come on through the front pockets as well. Keep your floating ribs anchored as you do this. Really trying to pull water out the back of the pelvis. You feel that wind up the stretch. Then I can start to pull the heel in towards the backside. Few breaths here. Strong through the core, still able to breathe. If you're just getting familiar with your core and reactivating it, then breathing might be a challenge. That's okay, do the best you can, it'll come. 50% effort, press the foot back into the hand like you're trying to straighten out at the knee. Ramping up intensity as time goes on. Five more seconds, strong as what is right for you. Now the opposite, switch on the hamstring, actively trying to move that foot in towards the backside, making sure you haven't lost your core engagement. For me, this side of the core, I really got to stay a little bit more focused, especially from my front pockets. Just a few more seconds, trying to pull the foot in towards the backside using the hamstring. And relax. And now we're going to do sort of two stretches following on each other. So we'll do sort of one side, the two stretches, and then we'll do the other side. The first one, and I'll talk you through the details, but this is just to show you where we're getting into, is into our lunge position. Is going to be the first stretch, just stretching out more hip flexor through this front to the back leg. Then we're going to add the quads into that. The way that I like to do it is to reach back with the opposite hand, take a hold of that foot, hips to the floor, and pull the foot in. Again, that's just to let you know what we're getting into. I'll talk you through the finer details. So we're going to start on all fours, bringing the left foot out to the side of the hands, right knee and toe goes back. So in this setup, I've got my front foot and my back knee. They'd be good shoulder width apart if they were in the same line. So just don't want to be too close together there. Slide that back leg all the way back behind you. Front foot is maybe a little bit forwards of that front knee in this sort of area, whatever works right for you. Hands down, sink the hips and square the hips up. So bring the right hip slightly forwards, just so that you're not turned out in this position. Create your tail tuck by engaging the core, back pockets down into the back of the pelvis. Feel how that switches the front pockets on. There'll be a bit more space through the front, like you've created a different shape here now. Feel those front pockets engaged. I'm still drawing my floating ribs in. There's tension through this area so that I'm not just flaring out at the rib cage. Sink the hips down to the floor and have a good 30 seconds breathing here. And from here, press the back knee down into the floor. So I'm switching on through the long side of the shape, 50% effort, ramping up intensity to whatever feels right. 15 seconds of this, or thereabouts, so I don't really count. I've got 5 more seconds, pressing the knee down. Now engage the glutes. It's like you're trying to push the back leg out behind you. Working as strong as you can here. Just a few more seconds. Core stays on, relax everything else, sink a little deeper. And then from here, I'm going to reach back with the opposite hand, take a hold of that foot, pull the foot in towards the backside. Now I'm trying to reach across with the hand rather than pull the foot around, if that makes sense. I'm trying to keep my foot in line with the backside rather than let it drop in towards the center. Pull the foot in towards the backside, strong core, trying to create that tail tuck, sink the hips down towards the floor. Now we're getting into a whole lot more quad in this position. So the active work, 50% effort, press the foot back into the hand like you're straightening out at the knee. At the same time, drag that knee forwards through the floor. Ramping up intensity as time goes on, foot into the hand, drag the knee forwards. Five more seconds. Now the opposite. Actively trying to move the foot closer to the backside, switches on the hamstrings, and trying to lift the knee up towards the ceiling. Switching on the glutes, both joints engaged here, working across two joints. Keep it going. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, sink a little deeper. Still got core engagement. I never am relaxing from there. Always keeping a little core engagement. And come on out. Give that a little move around and we'll do the other side. Foot comes to the outside of the hands, opposite knee and toe glides back behind. Hips sinking down towards the floor. Good shoulder width distance between the front foot and the back knee if they're in the same line. Sink the hips down, engage the core, level the hips. So I'm just, if I need to, I'm bringing my left hip slightly forward to keep them level, making sure I haven't turned out. Tail tuck, fill the back pockets down into the back of the pelvis. Feel the front pockets engaged, keep the floating ribs drawn in. You can use the hands to pull the chest forwards from here, having a few breaths. %50 effort, press the back knee down into the floor. And ramping up intensity as time goes on. Keep pressing the back knee down, 5 more seconds, strong as you can. Now engage the glutes on the back leg, trying to press that leg out behind you. Stay connected with the core, make sure it's still engaged. Pressing the back leg out. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. Bring that opposite hand around, take a hold of the foot. Doing my best to stay in line, trying not to roll that foot inwards. Sink the hips towards the floor, strong core, trying for the tail tuck. Pull the foot towards the backside. Breathe down into the belly. %50 effort, press the back foot into the hand, like you're trying to straighten out at the knee, and at the same time dragging the knee forwards through the floor. Working across both joints, ramping up intensity as time goes on, just to what feels right for you. Foot into the hand, drag the knee forwards. 5 more seconds. Now the opposite, engage the hamstring, actively trying to move that foot in towards the backside. Engage the glutes, trying to lift the knee up towards the ceiling. Working as strong as you can here. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. And come on out of there. So now we're going to do a piriformis stretch. And then we're going to add some quads into that as well. So it'll be another sort of 2 stretches in a row. I'll just show you what they look like quickly. This is what our piriformis stretch is going to look like. And then to get into the quad, we're just going to come out a little bit, take hold of that, and then roll back into how that piriformis setup was, holding a quad stretch in there. So with the piriformis stretch setup, or it's more than just the piriformis, but it gets into that area, is hips down, so my left hip is on the mat, that lower leg area supported as well. I want to make sure that my pelvis is pointing forwards, but my knee is to the outside line of my pelvis. So also have a 90-degree bend through that knee. Now that means that when I'm set up, my front foot will be further forwards than the front knee. So we just want to make sure that we're not tucked in like this. We're nice and open. Nothing wrong with either setup, they're just very different. They target very different things. So from this position, lean off to the left, hand down to support, walk the right leg back as far as you comfortably can. It might be to here, might be all the way back, it's just wherever is comfortable. Roll your right hip down towards the floor. So I'm trying to sink the hip towards the floor here. You can even use your left hand just to push the torso across a little bit. And that'll just get the weight a little bit further over on this right side, and it'll allow that hip to sink closer to the floor. It's all about what your pelvis is doing. Don't worry about getting your head down. Wherever is comfortable with your head is fine, but it's dropping the right side of the pelvis to the floor that's really going to wind the stretch up. Then you can think about trying to move that right hip slightly forwards towards that front foot, and that'll wind it up just a little further. Breathe into the belly. And with all my stretches, I've always got some connection with my core. I'm thinking about back pockets, front pockets, drawing the floating ribs in. Just have a few breaths here. Now active work, 50% effort, press the front foot and knee down into the floor. And ramping up intensity as time goes on. Keep pressing the front foot and knee down, 5 more seconds, whatever is right for you. Now try lifting the foot and knee up towards the chest. Strong as you can here, trying to lift that foot and knee up. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly. See if you can drop the right hip closer to the floor. And then come back out. I'm just coming out far enough to take a hold of that back foot. Now I'm rolling back in to the setup position, trying to drop the right hip as close as I can to the floor. Got core engagement, taking a hold of that right foot, pulling that towards the backside. So it's almost a little bit distracting. Somebody mentioned the other day that we were doing this one. Oh, Mike's just gone for a walk. Yeah, as I was saying, it's almost a bit distracting. It's like the back leg sensitivity, intensity just helps to override the front leg a bit, and the front leg helps to override the back leg. It's I don't know, it's probably different for everybody anyway. So sinking the right hip down towards the floor, pulling that right foot in towards the backside. So really today, all we're doing is just playing around with a quad stretch while other stuff's going on in the hip as well. 50% effort, press the front foot and the front knee down into the floor and push the back foot into the hand. Also push the back knee down into the floor here. Ramping up intensity as time goes on. Front foot, front knee, and back knee are all pushing down into the floor. Back foot pushing into the hand. 5 more seconds. Now try lifting the front foot and knee up towards the chest. Switch the hammy on to move the back foot in towards the backside. Use the glutes to lift the back knee up towards the ceiling. There's a whole lot going on here. Keep that going as strong as you can, lifting the front foot and knee up to the chest. Back foot towards the backside, trying to lift the back knee up. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. So that's both moving the right hip to the floor, pulling the right foot to the backside. And then come on out. Do the other side. So again, hip and lower leg supported, right side this time. Knees to the outside line of where my pelvis is pointing. 90-degree bend, which means the front foot is in front of the front knee. Lean off to the right, walk the left leg back behind you. And as far as you can, it might not be all the way back, just go to where you can. Then roll the left hip down to the floor. Sink that hip down. You can use the hands to shift the weight further out to the left a little. It'll help you sink a little deeper into the stretch. Then try bringing the left hip forwards towards that front foot. Breathing into the belly. %, effort, press the front foot and knee down into the floor. Ramping up intensity as time goes on. Keep pressing down, 5 more seconds, strong as you can. Now the opposite, try lifting the front foot and knee up towards the chest. Working as strong as you can here. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. So here I'll stay with this same front leg position, just going to bring the back knee around a little so I can take a hold of that foot and then try resetting that knee as best as I can. The same thing, trying to drop my left hip down towards the floor, using that right arm as support, but also just to help shift the weight across. I'm going to drop the left hip down as low as I can and then pull that left foot in towards the backside. Breathe down into the belly. %, effort, press the front foot and front knee down into the floor. Press the back foot into the hand, the back knee down into the floor. Ramping up intensity as time goes on, pressing down with the front foot and both knees. Pressing the back foot into the backhand. Keep that going. 5 more seconds. Now the opposite, try lifting the front foot and knee up towards the chest. Push the hammy on the back leg, you're trying to move that foot towards the back side. And also the glutes on are trying to lift the back knee up towards the ceiling. Front foot, front knee lifting up, back knee lifting up. Hammy pulling the foot towards the back side. Keep that going there. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly. See if you can sink a little deeper. And then come on out. From there, all right, let's do one more. We'll do our squashed frog, and then with a quad onto it. Hopefully, you can see me. I reckon you'll be able to see me fine. So my squashed frog, what I've got going on with the squashed frog is my knees are wide and hips are in between the knees. So I'm not forwards and not excessively backwards, especially at this early on stage setup. My feet are also behind the knees rather than into a diamond shape, so they're in line with the knees. From here, sinking the hips down towards the floor, so I just shuffle the legs apart. Let's go straight into it. We've talked about this setup enough. So we're right into this position. Let the hips sink down towards the floor, switching the quads on. Sorry, not the quads, the core on, but gently just to support the shape. I'm allowing whatever naturally wants to happen through my lumbar spine if there's a little bit of movement that wants to occur there to support this. And then I'm just going to engage support for that through the core. So back pockets down into the back of the pelvis a little. I'm not trying to change the shape of my pelvis there. I'm just trying to support it. Front pockets are engaged, floating ribs anchored, so it's not just a flare out. Our active work, 50% effort, press the knees down into the floor. It's like you're trying to bring them together underneath you. Ramping up intensity to whatever feels right for you. Keep pressing down. 5 more seconds. Now the opposite, try lifting the knees up towards the ceiling. So we're strongly engaging lateral glutes. Keep trying to lift the knees up. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. So now let's have a play around with similar kind of shape. Taking hold of one side, bring that foot around. And then trying to do a quad stretch, frog variation. Definitely a fair amount of work supporting my weight on this forearm in this position. So my quads, my cores are definitely working a whole lot harder. Feels pretty bizarre. I'm certainly getting some stretches that are really high up in this hip flexor area on this right hand side. 50% effort, press the frog leg down into the floor. The quad leg, push that foot back. And I'm also driving the knee down into the floor there. Ramping up intensity. 5 more seconds. Now the opposite, trying to lift the frog leg up towards the ceiling. Trying to lift the other knee up to the ceiling, switching the quads on. Well, that's pretty full on. Switching the hammies on, trying to move the foot in closer to the backside. This is a bit interesting. So I'm not going 100% with this because I'm feeling stuff in my hip and I just want to connect with what's going on. Hold and relax. And then I'm going to come on out of there. Gently moving that around. So I definitely wanted to, dial back on the intensity that I was working at, because just the sensations were quite overwhelming through there, through that side. So just erring on the side of cautiousness there, wanting to build up a good connection before I then get into building up power. It feels really nice through the front of this hip right now. Okay, other side. Let's do the whole frog again, hey? Hopefully this setup will work and the wall won't be in my way. I'm just mindful, I really hope I'm in camera shot here. Otherwise I'm going to do the whole thing again. I'm already stuffed up a heap today. So, knees are wide, feet behind the knees, hips in between the knees, sinking down to the floor. Breathe down into the belly. %50 effort, drive the knee down into the floor. Ramping up intensity as time goes on. Driving down, 5 more seconds, strong as you can. Now the opposite, try lifting the knees up towards the ceiling. strong as you can here. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax. Breathe into the belly, sink a little deeper. Here I'm gonna come out just enough to try and set this up. Bring that foot into the quad stretch, sink back down into my sort of half frog quad thing going on. Again, it's feeling like a fair amount of hard work just holding this shape. It's almost like a plank in this shape. But you know, hey, there's good quad work, there's good core work for you, hey? 50% effort, press that front knee and foot down into the floor, press the back knee into the floor and the foot into the hand. Ramping up intensity as time goes on. Keep driving down, 5 more seconds. Now try lifting the front knee and foot up towards the ceiling. Engage the hammies on the back leg, trying to move that foot into the backside. And try and lift the back knee up towards the ceiling, switching the glutes on. Keep that going. Just a few more seconds. Hold and relax, breathe into the belly. Sink a little deeper.